What was your strategy for getting the scholarship?
You got a positions, but you have to pay this a month. So yeah, or let's say when I finished my high school, I was like not sure what to do.
Things worked out for you, even, I mean, you were not planning for it, but like kind of manifesting because
I would go anywhere in the world wherever life takes. That was my plan, right?
I would like to play a little bit of a devil's advocate on this.
And middle of the project, the client is asked to change.
Why are you so much passionate about architecture?
I don't feel like I'm working. I'm just like you're playing Lego.
How was a general studio look like in Nepal and in Denmark?
Because in Nepal, we try to teach a lot of things. And here, they all focuses on understanding.
You were doing a lot less in school compared to Nepal.
My boss doesn't care if I start at 8 or 10.
How Danish architecture is different from Nepal?
It's a craftsmanship. Architecture is like,
It also has a lot to do with the climate.
so the sun starts at like 8 and 9, 6, 7 hours a day, but then all dark.
I had zero idea about elevators.
Go and find the solution.
What was your cultural challenges?
The cultural thing is like people here in Danish people they're really kind.
I'm guessing like you have to speak Danish. I mean, you have been there for a while, so I'm assuming you are really fluent with that now. But how was your experience?
I have a 5-year daughter. She said she has a better Danish accent than I have.
While I was working in Nepal, we were not focusing much on detail.
They just want the bare minimum from us. Even the small parts, the gutter. I don't know how you found it.
Yeah, after listening to this podcast, maybe someone will reach out to you. Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of My Ask Stories podcast. And today's episode, we are going to Denmark, not literally, but the guest we have is Sundeep Khatri, and he's gonna tell us about his experience in Denmark. And he's a senior architect working in Denmark for 12 years now. And I have attached his portfolio as well in the description below. And we had a very nice, genuine conversation about his experience. And he's so much passionate about architecture, and it's kind of contagious. So I feel like if you want to get that positive, inspiring attitude of architecture, do listen to it. He's amazing. And we talked about like things that we could do to make a better studio in Nepal. I don't know, it's just our conversation. And then after, like how we ended up going to Denmark. And if you want to go to Denmark, then he's the guy to reach out to know about more informations. And he also shared his experience. So yeah, that was all about today's podcast. And now let's go for it. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. And this is a second recording because we had a technical glitch and we recorded for 3 minutes. And I thought there might be some issues. And now we are doing completely fine. And in today's podcast, I have a very special guest from Denmark. I mean, not technically, but he's in Denmark currently working as a senior architect. And he is here today to share us his experience of architecture and so many other things. And first of all, I would like to welcome him. Thank you so much for your time. And could you introduce
Yeah.
yourself first? And we are doing this
No
again, by the
problem.
way.
No problem, Srijan. Thank you, Srijan. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm Sundeep Khatri, as Srijan has told you, and I'm an architect. I'm working as an architect in a small firm here in Denmark. I've been working here since back in 2012, so almost more than 12 years. I did my master's here from Denmark, and yeah, I think that's it.
Yep. So even when I looked into your portfolio, first I checked like what university you went to for your bachelor's, and then like I I saw like you did bachelor's quite a while ago, because I think I was probably in a school at that time when you completed your bachelor's. And I was wondering like even at that time people were thinking about like going abroad and doing studies in architecture. So what was your exact motivation? Like how did you
Okay,
start it?
I think motivation. First, we have to understand why I chose architecture, right? Then we I think explain. But
Yeah,
because
sure.
the thing is, you know how I started my bachelor back in 2002, I think, 2002, and we have this 5 years program, right, in Nepal. So it completed in 2007, 8. So when I first joined architecture, or let's say when I finished my high school, I was like not sure what to do at that time. To be honest, I didn't even know what architecture was and what architects do. To be honest, I didn't know it. Right? Okay, I thought that it was the civil engineer who designed houses, and I was like, that's how architecture was not, let's say, was not that famous, because I studied in a Kathmandu engineering college, which is right now quite a prestigious college. But at that time, we were, I think, third or fourth batch of that college in architecture. So it was, we have this in Pulchok Engineering College, but it was getting more attraction in the other colleges also, right? So that time when I started architecture, when I was introduced to architecture, and then I thought, okay, well, okay, this is an amazing field because I used to love doing sketches, right? I used to love drawings and all the things. I was good in math and science, as a student, but as an extracurricular activities, I used to love drawings. That was my only thing I used to love, right? Then I thought, okay, is there anything where I can use, because because my parents, they wanted me to do some, as you know, as all parents do at that time. I don't know how they do it right now, but they want your kids to be either doctor or engineer, right? And I'd never wanted to be doctor. I don't think I'm not built for that. Then I thought, okay, I'll go for engineer, then I thought, okay, what kind of engineer? Because there are five, six options. And then I thought, okay, okay. Then we had some introduction classes, this to just to explain what they are. And when they explained me that, okay, in architecture, it's something you draw, because the guy who explained, they say, well, here in this you just draw. And I thought, okay, draw. There is a subject where you can just draw, and why don't I take that, And that
Hmm.
day I decided, okay, I'll take an architecture without even knowing what they draw, So I say I can draw, and then I
Yeah.
got the chance there and started learning. Then when I started learning and what we are doing in class, it was so much fun. I thought I was like, okay, this is my place, And I'm so lucky that I end up being in architecture without even knowing what I was starting with. Right. So for me, that is so, so important, because I have a lot of my colleagues who were there, also not knowing what is architecture, but it was not, after 1 or 2 years, they found out it wasn't for them, But luckily for me, I found, okay, this is for me. And I tell you, those 5 years in architecture school, I think it's the best days of my life. I enjoyed fully, thoroughly. So we got graduated. No matter how good it is, everything has to come to an end, right? So now we are graduated, we are looking for a job. I got a job, start doing. Finding a job was not, I was really, really good student at architecture. So finding a job was not that difficult. I found a job, start working, and but I wanted to pursue more. Like I want to pursue, I always want to do, because we used to study all these architecture buildings and we used to see in the books, when we were doing this history of architecture, modern architecture, we were learning this. We used to see those buildings and books, but we have only learned them in books. And I was like, how fun it will be to go and just see those buildings, And the thing is, like back in 2003, 4, we didn't have internet. I know it's a little surprising, whenever we had to do project research, like when we design something and we'll go to the project research, and that we have to go to the library, and find the real books and magazines and all the things. So actually internet was just coming in, but the access was not that good. It's like we have limited access, let's say, and the content was also not that much. So, and all those buildings we have sent in books and all the things. Then I thought, okay, I want to go outside and go do my master's and thing. Then the question was like where to go, because my family condition was okay. We are very, okay with uh, financial, but they couldn't afford for me to pay lots of money to go outside, like for my masters. I know that. So I was not planning to ask them for any money. So for masters, I thought, okay, I'll do my masters, but wherever in the world, I don't care, wherever in the world, wherever I get scholarship, I'll go and do my masters. I'll do my masters in architecture, and I'll do with full scholarship. that was my only goal when I left my country, right? That was my only goal, that I will do my study and scholarship. That's all. I don't care which country, which language, blah blah. No, nothing. Then when I was working in Nepal as an architect, at the free time I was learning French language, and I thought, oh, I will let me just utilize my time. There was a place called Alliance Française. It's something like a cultural center for France, right? And they learn French language and all the things. And then I also learned that there I learned that in France, if you do your masters in French language, then it's free. So if you do in other language, then you have to pay money and all the things. But if you do in French language and if you're selected and all the things, then you will be, then you can do it in free. Then I thought, okay, that is good. Then, but the thing with the prox was like it has to be done in French language. Then I was okay. I was learning French. I'll do it. Then I say I was learning French thing, and they also got a chance. And they say, okay, if you want, because there in Nepal you learn language, but it was like limited classes, like it was just kind of introductory classes, right? Then I said, if you want, because if you want to do your whole master's in French language, then it has to be really proficient. You have to have that grade. You have to give exams and all the things. Then I said, okay, then I'll say I'll move to France to learn French language. I'll do 1 or 2 years. I'll learn French language. Then I got when I'm very proficient with that. Then I'll do my master's in architecture in France and French. That was the whole idea. No, sometimes it sounds like a little naive right now. So I know when I look back, but at that time I thought that was the greatest idea. And then I moved to in 2009. I moved to France, Nice. Right, it's a southern small south city in south. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth, I would say. Like it's a Mediterranean, to uh, blue beach, sunshine all the time, very touristic space, right? And there I almost for 1 year I studied the French language. I worked as a part-time, so in a restaurant, and I was to do this thing. Then I had a friend. I have a friend. It's not I have a friend here in Denmark, who was in Denmark, who had come to in Denmark 2007, so 2 years prior to mine, right? So he found out that I was in France, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing in France? Come to me, visit me," and everything. And till then, I didn't know anything about Denmark until that there is a country called Denmark. That's all. Nothing much. I had not much idea. And I said, okay. Then and in my free time, I went to visit him, and came to Denmark, and I said, he explained me, what are you doing? Blah, blah. We had a good chat. And he said, okay, I explained him my plan. I'm learning very fresh now, language right now, and my future plans to do this. And he said, okay, but are you stupid? What are you doing? Why don't you come in Denmark and study here in Denmark? It's like, they also provide scholarship, and you can do it in English. Wow, is it that possible? Like you can learn in English, you do your master's in English, and maybe possible you can even get a scholarship and so. Then I said, okay, well, for me, I have to do. I just wanted to do masters. I don't care whichever the country is, right? So then I went back and I applied, and I just look for it, and I applied for a college and here in Aalborg University. And yeah, and then I got it. I got the enrollment. I got the scholarship, and they say, okay. Then I was like, okay, I got, shall I go or not? And I thought, why not? I'll just, because to be honest, I also like France. It's like France with all that culture and the history and the architecture also is like so much, it's like, and then I thought, okay, since I have got such a nice opportunity, I shouldn't miss it. I'll just go do my master's, and then nothing happened. Then I'll come back to again France and start doing whatever, look for a job, because at that time I really wanted to live in France. And then I came here in Denmark in 2010 for my master's in Aalborg. Then I did my master's for 2 years. Then also we also had in masters, first we had 4 semesters, right? So in first semester we had one of the third semester we had to do internship, like practicum, with they say there here, and an internship, and that at that time you could just go anywhere. It's just like for say 4 to 6 months. Then I said, okay, at that time I applied my internship in France, in Paris, right? And I only applied in France. Nowhere in other world I didn't apply. No, I only want to go if they have a chance. Then I finally got one because that was also a little difficult, to get this spot in the scholarship, no, the internship, sorry. And then I got one, and for an internship, was here in Paris for like 4 months. I stayed here. I did my internship, went back. I did my master's thesis, finished. Then I got a job. Like maybe later I'll explain you how I got a job. Then after that, yeah, I thought because the thing I didn't get to think much because just after a few months I finished my studies. I got my job, and till then I'm still working in the same place. Yeah,
That's really nice. It's kind of like things worked out for you. Even I mean, you were not
no,
planning for it, but like kind of manifesting because you wanted
yeah,
a
yeah.
scholarship and then you
Yeah,
kind of
because
got it.
my road was like clear, right? My destination was clear, but my path was not. I would like to say
Hmm.
that because I said I don't care about the path. I would go any path, but my destination was clear. I want to do my masters in architecture. Because I did my masters in architecture, design, and all the things, right? I said because I won't do any other because I'm really interested in designing part of architecture because architecture is quite broad, right? I would say that you can do after finishing architecture, you can do lots of other fields you can go, and that's okay and that's fine. But I was majorly interested in this design aspect, right? That was, and I say, okay, my goal was only that I want to do architecture in design, and I want to do it is in scholarship because I cannot pay, I don't have money. That was my only two goals, and I would go anywhere in the world wherever life takes. That was my plan, right? And that's what I followed, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's break it down into small pieces. So, like when you said like you
Mm.
got scholarship, so did you? I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be still relevant because it's been a long time, but just wanted to know
Mhm.
from your experience, like what was your strategy for getting the scholarship? Because was it your portfolio or your we call it statement of purpose nowadays,
Mm.
SOP? So, like, what was your major
Okay.
strategy?
At that time, I was not thinking that much. I was just like, explained them where I come from and all the things, right? What I'm doing right now. And because the good thing is, a lot of people don't know is that Denmark, as an EU, all these Scandinavian countries and all the things, they have this quota for international students. They have this national, they have their own students, and they have quotas for international students. Not all are scholarships, right? So when I first applied to them, first, okay, they said, okay, you got this, you got a position because you have to get the position there. You got a positions, but you have to pay this amount. So you have to pay fee. So I got the spot, but I didn't get the scholarship. Then I, and then I, that for me, that was not working. I wrote to them, okay, sounds good, but I don't have money. I cannot pay. And so normally the course starts from September, and you have to apply, I think, around February, before February, right? So I applied it. Then in around June or something, they said, okay, you got this spot and you have to pay this money. You are invited to come, blah blah. And then I said, sorry, it's nice that I got the job, but I don't have money, right? So I cannot pay this thing, so I cannot take your offer. But thank you very much. If you can provide me some kind of a scholarship and all the things, I would come. But other than that, so then I just wrote to them and just forget about it, right? And then start life going as usual. Then the course was supposed to start in September 1st. So just in the beginning of August, they wrote to me, okay, we have a spot, you got a scholarship, you want to come in a 1 month, and then I have to pack everything and have to move to a new country in a 1 month. I don't have even time to apply for the visa, right? And it's like because then I was like, what to do, like because it was so hurry. And I said, okay, yes, I'll come. Then I talked to my friends and all things. Yeah, everyone said, yeah, it's a really nice opportunity. Why would leave? Then I said, okay, I'll come. Then in a month, because the good thing about here with the visa thing was easy was because both France and Denmark, they are in a Schengen country, right? So they once visa work, another, at least you can travel there, right? So even I came to Denmark even if I had before I had a visa for Denmark, right? So I came here, and then when I got this paper from this school and all the things, and directly applied for my visa from Denmark. Danish visa. So I was already in Denmark when I was applying for my visa. So it was such a rush decision, you know. And at that time, I was already like, because I was learning French and all the things, I have already my one path planned, right? Because my initial path was like doing my French thing and all the masters in Paris or somewhere in France. So it's like, shall I go? Because I've already passed or learned 1 year, because my language class was 2 years language class, and then after that, I was doing masters and all the things. So I've already studied 1 year. So it was just, shall I leave this, not going this? Then I thought, okay, I'll just go, because this is such a big opportunity, I can't miss it. So I thought, okay, I'll go no matter what. If it doesn't work, then I'll come back in France anyway, like that was my plan. But for the scholarship, I think they have, every year they have a quota. They have for international students, it's a quota. Of course, people from all over the world will apply it. And if you apply it, there is a good chance you can also get it, yeah, yeah. But in
Hmm.
that we were 80 students, right? In that in my batch in masters, we're 50 were from the Danish students, and I think the 30 were from foreign students. And out of that, a lot of were like European countries, right? Italy, France, and all the things, a lot of European countries. And I think I was the only two-person Asian countries. So one was, I think, from China or somewhere, and I was so we were only the two Asian students there. Yeah, but they
Hmm.
do provide it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, and you said like you have always wanted to go for a master's
Yeah.
in architecture, and could you please elaborate a little bit more? Like, why are you so much passionate about
No.
architecture?
Yeah.
I mean, there should not be any reason, but I'm just curious. I mean, I did the
Mm.
same thing, but still want to know
No,
your
no,
point
because
of
the thing
view as
is,
well.
I really like designing, drawing, presentation, and all those things. That's me, or if you ask me, right? So, for
Hmm.
me, it's like for me there is no other thing. For me, that is architecture. I'm not saying that is architecture, but for me, that is architecture, right? Architecture is quite a broad thing, but and I will enjoy that how much, so much. When I was in the architecture school, also, of course, we had this design studio, and we have all other subjects also. I was okay in other subjects also. I was not that bad, but I was like really good at the architecture, design studios, right? And I could day and night without sleep, without food. I can sit there, design and draw things. Right? That I feel like I was born to do that. Like I don't know if I can really explain why I like that, because it's a very difficult thing to explain that. But it's just that I feel
Hmm.
like, okay, this is something. When I'm sitting there and design drawing, and I don't feel like I'm working. I'm just feeling I'm playing, right? I'm just like you're playing Lego. When you play Lego, sitting there making
Hmm.
blocks and all the things, you don't feel like you're doing anything. It's for me, designing and all the things are just like sitting there and playing. So last 12 years, I don't feel like I have worked anything. I'm just playing. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good
Yeah.
spot to
Yeah.
be in because sometimes it will get in your head if you're
No, no,
not
no. Yeah,
enjoying
exactly.
what you are
Because my
doing.
problem, because the reason is like a lot of people say, how can you stay in the same place for 12 years, right? And we might be jumping a little my experience right now. But the thing is, in my
Hmm.
work studio, we have a studio, we call it like, in Danish, we call it Tiny Studio. That Tiny Stuen, we call it, that means like drawing studio, we call it, if you translate. But in the studio, we have different works. We have a work for a coordinating called coordinations, like management, project management, as you call it. And we have called for design and drawing. So I'm in more in the design drawing part, right? And luckily my boss also has let me be in that part. And a lot of other architects, although they are also architects and we have same background and all the things, but they are more on the coordination, project management thing. Project management thing is a nice thing. It's a very important thing. For me, it's a little boring, but it's a lot like writing reports and all the things, meetings, reports, coordinating meetings, and all the things, all the things. It's a very important part of the field, but I prefer to stay in there. So I'm still in the two-wheelers also, because a lot of people, what they start as a designing, and they, I don't know, they will, if you call it a promote or not, or they will say, okay, I want to do project management and all, because they feel like, so you are in the management part and all the things, and they stop drawings and all the things. But I still like to go.
Yeah.
I still like to do. I think I'll forever go drawing and designing is, I might start doing project management and all those things, but for me, design drawing, it's forever for me, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I think it's kind of a little bit tricky when you want to
Yeah,
start your own
exactly.
firm, because like if you are
Mm,
starting your own firm, you have to be
yeah.
a project manager, you have to be
Mm,
a designer, like you have to wear
hmm.
so many hats. And sometimes like people think that when you start your own practice, you can do
Yeah.
more design,
No.
but I see a lot of people doing
Yeah,
more
exactly.
project management because you have to
Yeah,
manage relationship
exactly.
with clients and then like a lot of
Hmm.
coordination. So yeah, yeah. And after that, a little bit circling back into your
Hmm. Yeah.
master's experience. So when you compare about the bachelor's in Nepal and then
Hmm.
master's in Denmark, so what was the major differences that you find, like in terms of teaching, or like how was a general studio look like in Nepal and in
Okay.
Denmark?
Okay, let's start. First thing, the difference is workload. Because in Nepal, we try to teach a lot of things. We teach a lot of things, In some way, we learned a lot of things, but sometimes the thing is there are so much things we don't know which one to take, which one to prioritize, and you also did your master, sorry, your undergraduate from Nepal, right? So you know how many subjects we have here. Like, oh my God, we have to give exams and all the things. Design studio also, it's a major chunk of it, but it's a one subject. But when I did masters, we had only two subjects. Or like literally, in my masters, sometimes we had two design studios. That's all. There were no theories, no theory exams, nothing, right? And we used to have classes, but the class, for example, I'm doing a tectonic architecture, so it's my this semester my subject. So there will be lots of architecture lessons and lectures on tectonics. Why is the tectonic? Blah blah blah. There will be lectures, and it's not that you have to go there. It's just there is a lecture happening this week, this thing. And if you're interested and if you think that that lectures can help you in your project, then you just go and join the lectures. Otherwise, you don't go, nobody cares. Right? But in the architecture school, there's
Mhm.
like, oh, everything you have to pass, everything you have to have. If it's a building materials, building sites, building everything, you have so much, too much of workload, I would say. Right? We are teaching too much, I think, sometimes. And here they all focuses on understanding, because and the thing is when we do a design, also a project, let's say that is one thing is about we have too many subjects, and now I'm coming to the design part. How design studios, how they are. Design studios are kind of similar what we do in Nepal and here. Uh, but the thing is everything when they did the exams, because we have design studies is all about your final presentation and all the things, so they pretty much ask whatever you have learned on the whole semesters, how to, because what was the topic of the whole semester and how do you incorporate in your design. Have you understand the topic? That's all. The whole thing they want to care is like not the what great architecture you have built, but have you understand what we are trying to, what is the topic and all the things, and did you understand how to incorporate that in your design. That's what they try to see here, because rather than the outcomes, they just want to see as the student understand the subject, right? That's more important here.
Mhm.
I don't know or if the undergraduate study is different here, because I didn't do it here undergraduate here. I did only the graduate. So we had, I was surprised how less they work, like because I came from a place where we worked all the time. When we were doing undergraduate in Nepal, we were pretty much all the time at a studio from morning to the end, sometimes whole night sitting there drawing, because we had so many subjects and then design studios and all the things, right? Here, pretty much like free. They go explore things. They can come with new ideas and all the things. Like really relax. But it's not that they're not learning; they're learning. But it's just that the output in the physical thing that we have to give here is quite less. But the learning is in the more in the experiences. Yeah, I think I would say that.
Hmm. So I mean, we were even
Uh,
talking behind the camera about like the
yeah,
work
yeah,
life balance thing, and I want to connect that with the same thing
yeah,
that we are talking right now. So you said like you were doing a lot less in school
yeah.
compared to Nepal, and what about the in the job? Is it
It's the
very
same,
same?
because Denmark and even Scandinavia, whole the Sweden, Norway, these countries are well renowned for work-life balance. That means you have a work time, you have your own life thing, right? And they are quite segregated. My working time is like 38 hours per week, and we work 5 days, right? And then yeah, I'm telling you about my work place, right? My studio, it might be different in other places, but and we have very flexible work hours. That means you have to do your work 150 hours per month work, and that we have to do at any time. Of course, you have to submit your projects, you have to have your meetings and all the things. But after that, it doesn't matter when you start. My boss doesn't care if I start at 8 or 10, or if I finish at 4, or if I stay finish at 6 or 8. He doesn't care. He only cares that the meetings are done and the project are submitted on the time. That's what it is. And then after that, I can plan my life around it, right? Because sometimes, right now I have kids, so sometimes I have to drop my kids to the kindergarten before I have to come to work, right? So I start a little late. But sometimes who can come a little early, they can come a little early and go a little early, and so you can manage your time. It's pretty much free. And the thing is, we work 5 days, we have 2 days off. I was hearing that in Sweden they are talking about maybe for 4 or 5 days is too much work, maybe we should have 3 days a weekend, blah blah. This is a place like that, right? It's a very relaxed place. But it's not that they don't
Hmm.
work. We work here, right? We because they think that if you're too much stressed, then it's to the people, then it's very difficult to take out work out of them, right? Because we are in a very creative field, and or even any other field, I would say. Because if you get too much pressure, then it's very difficult to get the output out of that, right? So work-life balance
Hmm.
is very, very good, I would say. eh, Whole Europe, I think I would say better, but in Scandinavia, it's even better.
Hmm. So I want to know more about like
Mm,
Danish architecture. So you told me a little bit about like how you guys like focus so much
mhm,
on detail, like
mhm,
how it's built. So could you tell us a little bit more about like how a design
mhm.
come to fruition? Like I would say like not the whole process, but how Danish architecture is different from Nepal. That's how we can
Okay.
start, I guess.
Danish architecture. Okay. But it has, in some way, it's similar to any other architecture, right? Any architecture in any other places, so like the starting the process, how we do all the things. For example, site, all the site constraints, all the weather thing, all this thing. Any architecture, any place in the world, we have to consider, and that also we consider here. But that's one part, right? But how we
Mhm,
think is, I would say, architecture here in Denmark, we take it more rather than the building, which we take it like product, and it's a craftsmanship. Architecture is like a craftsman, it's like someone's building a chair. It's like sitting there crafting everything, corner, this corner. It's more testing and doing a lot of tests. We do lots of tests, and then and got one nice results. And it's like that, I would say, in right. And another thing is architecture in Denmark. They consider we say we design for the people. Buildings are for the people, not like there is a building and there's people and they go and live there. No, buildings has to be designed considering the users, right? The people living in it. So for a long time, we were not, we were not allowed to build tall buildings here. Right now, they have started lately because we are running out of space problems and all the things. But with the thing is, for a long time, cities in Denmark, you see that we don't have much skyscraper here in Denmark, right? Because we think that skyscraper is not a very scale to human. It's a very, in some way, it's a nice building, tall, the technology and all the things good, but it's a quite daunting scale wise. It doesn't give the we in Denmark we have this word called hygge. Hygge is and that if you translate, there is no direct translation, but if you, the best thing I would give is like cozy and humanly, the and a human,
Hmm.
how to say, that aspires you humanly thing, right? So best thing will be cozy in something. We'll say we try to get that thing, and it's a very another thing is weather wise also it's a dark place. It's like a winter is like really harsh. We don't have much sun here, and like in the winter we have like so the sun starts at like 8 and 9, and already go 3:30 is already down. So we have like 6 7 hours a day, and all then all dark. So it's, and we have very long winter, like very short summer. Summer are really good, but they're a little short. So we design, the houses are really small. You'll be surprised how small the buildings are. So they're all human scale. They are not like humongous. We only build what we need. You know, I think that's the Danish architecture. I
Hmm.
would say we work really on craftsmanships, like small design details. Details we work really hard on how to build it. And those are the things I think I learned about, because and the differences of the construction system, Nepal and I think, oh my God, that's what one of the big surprise for me was the construction system, because we have totally this isolation and all the thing, 3 layer 4 layer wall systems and all the things which we don't have in Nepal, and then I could still remember the first day in my workplace when my boss asked me to draw the detail of a wall. I had no idea what to do. I had literally no idea, because all the layers, how big it has to be, and all the things, all the shades and all the things. That was like a big surprise for me.
Yeah, I think it also has a lot to
Climate,
do with the
yes.
climate because
Mm,
Nepal, I mean, I wouldn't say Nepal, Kathmandu, it's kind of like a
mm,
good weather place. So there is not much of an insulation. And also, like, we barely use
no.
wooden construction. And for residential purpose at least, and that's what I like about most of the Nordic and Scandinavian countries, like
Yeah.
the use of the wood. And I
Mm,
absolutely love it. And even one of my favorite architect,
yeah.
Alvar Aalto,
Finish
he's
architect.
a Finnish architect. And the way they use wood
Yeah.
in everything, that's
Yeah,
like
I think it's
commendable.
even more in Finland, because they really have a big because Denmark is a very small country,
Hmm.
right? So we don't have a much place to grow the forest and all for the wood and all the things. But Finland is like a really huge country, and even north. So they have really I would say masters the work of wood, using wood as, and they have lots of saunas, as they say. They say they have more sauna than the
Hmm.
people there live in Finland, right?
Yeah. And so talking about like this whole architectural thing, let's look into a little bit of a
Yeah.
immigrant perspective. So when you moved to Denmark, so how was the like how was your cultural challenges?
Oh, okay. Okay. The funny thing was like when I moved for when I moved to France, there I know what I was getting because I planned it, right? Because I know, okay, I have planned this thing. I'll go there and another thing. But when I moved to Denmark, it was so certain. It was like suddenly it happened. I had to decide in a month. It's like, so suddenly I came and I was like a lot of times. I came. Oh, luckily I came in. I think I came in August, which is not a very bad month, because I would say someone directly coming from Nepal to Denmark in February, January, February will have a shock, a big shock, the weather shock, and all the things.
Mhm.
That's one weather thing. And the cultural thing is like people here in Danish people they're really kind. They're really kind, but they are very reserved. They won't come and talk to you until they need, or until you come and go and out ask them until it's needed, because they don't do small chit chats and hi and hello. They don't do it. They only talk when it's needed. But when they talk, they are very polite. They are the most one of the most polite people in the world. But they are like, for them, they are not the first one to come and talk to you, right? So that you have to understand. They
Mhm.
are and they're very very reserved. It's whole not only in Denmark, it's a whole northern part, more Scandinavian part of it, right? They are like very close. They live in their own shell. But it's not that they're rude. They're really kind. Like if you go and talk and ask for help, they are so much eager to come and help you. All right. So that's the thing. And another thing
Mhm.
is, of course, about the difficult part in Denmark or any other European country other than UK is the language. No matter what, you have to do the language, right? Then you have to learn completely a new language, and that's it's difficult. And Danish is a difficult language, I would say so, because I have learned French. Comparatively, I would say French is much better, and not better, I would say easier. Danish is a little
Mhm.
difficult language to master, I would say.
Yeah, and how does that play a role in managing projects? Because I'm guessing like you have to speak Danish while dealing with clients
Yeah.
and everything. I mean, you have been there for a while, so I'm assuming you are really
Well,
fluent with that now. But how
mm.
was your
Yeah,
experience
because with
initially?
Danish is like a, well, I would say I speak it, I understand it all, I read blah blah all things, but I wouldn't say I'm fluent yet. I would say it's a very difficult language to master, as I told you, and because there are some pronunciation you can still make it. Because our tongue are not uh, made for that. You can't. I know they are, and I can't see the difference. They're speaking. I say this one and this one is different. I don't see the difference. If they write and give me, I can read it and I understand it, but they speak it's the same. It's like, I have a 5-year daughter. She has a better Danish accent than I have. She keeps on saying, well, Father, this is not how you do it. This is not how you pronounce it. And I was like, I know, like, so I think that I don't think that will ever come, because that's locked. And
Mhm.
so the project manager, the good thing is that that's also one good thing about because I do more of design drawing. Of course, I do take the client's meeting and all the things, but I don't do the project management, right? So that means who is project
Mhm.
management is where we have to do. You have to have superior master on your language also, right? Because you have to write the reports and you have to write the all the mails and all the writing parts is there, and communication part is there. So I'm more, I know all the words and all the things. I can day to day talk with people and all the things. But I do I'm comparatively in the back seat, right? I'm not in the PR part of the
Mhm.
projects. So which helps also in some way. But if needed, I can communicate also. And the good thing about here is like, although good thing in Denmark is everyone can speak English. So everyone,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
they
really
of course
interesting.
everything will be in Danish and all the things. But if needed, if you go and talk to, okay, I didn't understand, I can talk. Everyone understand English here, almost everyone. So
Mhm. That I didn't know about that because like I thought in most of
mm,
the European countries they only speak English in bigger cities. Like when I was talking with someone
mm.
who is in Germany, she was saying like they mostly speak English just in Berlin, but
Yeah.
not in the other part.
Yeah, no, it's
But
it, it's
yeah, I
it's
mean
like
that's
that. It's
really
like
interesting.
Germany, France, Italy, Spain. It's like that. The southern part of the Europe, uh, they only this educated ones who go to college and degree, they only speak better English and all the things. The other, especially in French, it's very hard. Nobody is speaking English there. First thing they know. A lot of people know how to speak English. They don't like it, so they don't speak it, and a lot of
Hmm.
people can even not know how to speak English, right? But here in Denmark, first thing, almost everyone can speak English. I would say 95% plus can speak English. So the Scandinavian, whole Scandinavian part of the Europe, they are the best, apart from the, of course, UK, which is English speaking country. Non-English speaking countries, I think Scandinavian are the one best with the English. They're the best speaking English speaking countries, I would say. So you won't have a
Hmm.
problem in communication. They will, but of course, you can't do your projects in English. You have to has to be in Danish, right? Especially for
Hmm.
a small office like us, because all our projects are Danish projects, right? But we do only in Denmark. We do sometimes competition and all the things, which are in different language, but our all the projects are in Denmark, so they have to be all in Danish. But if it's a big office, international office, like big and other thing, they do, because they do international projects. So there you can have a communication language English also, because they hire all lots of international
Hmm.
students and all the things, right? But a small office like ours,
Hmm.
who works only in Denmark, our communication language is in Danish.
Yeah, and yeah, you
Yeah.
mentioned big, so I want to know about, like, have you been to any of his? I mean, I'm assuming you have. So, uh, like any of his projects, which are I'm not even
Mm.
getting the names, but have you
Oh
been
yeah,
to any of
of course,
them?
they are all around. I think there's one just right now. I'm my studio, right? I'm at the studio, and there are one project
Hmm.
which is a small urban project. I might you haven't seen. It's called in Norbo Helen. It's right over like a few blocks away from where I'm right now sitting right now. So it's all over the city. So it's
Hmm.
you can't miss it. If you even if you don't want to see it, you can't miss it. So you'll see it when I'm going home. If there is another one on the um, near the train station. So yes, of course,
Hmm.
yeah, they're all over. And then,
And yeah, and what do you feel about those architecture when you stand there? Because I'm assuming, like, lots
Mhm,
of the viewers, they wanna. I mean, they mostly have
mhm,
seen the pictures, but you have experienced
mhm.
that architecture, right? So, what do you think in your experience about those
Okay.
architectures?
If you ask me, it's not my type of architecture. What bigs are doing, they are good. They are really good at concept creation and all the things. I think in my opinion, not all their projects. Some of their projects, some projects are really nice. For example, this museum in Helsingør. I forget the name right now. Uh, Maritime Museum, I think Maritime Museum in Helsingborg, which is amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that's
I know
that's
about
that's
that.
one of the best projects I would say for me. That's really really nice, really
Hmm.
nicely done. So it's not that they can't do it, right? But I can understand also they have also pressure with the client. Their initial concept creation is really nice, but the project when they take uh, sometimes, as I said, in Denmark, we prefer craftsmanship. For us, architecture like craftsmanship, detailing, how you join it, how the corners join, how the space is created, how small, even small, it's a lamp, how do you put it, door handle, how do you put it, all these things we think, right? We plan it. And those kind of small details are lacked in the some of the big project, I would say. But the Maritime Museum in Helsinki is a really nice project. There are other nice projects also. Those are I think, my favorite, I would say.
Hmm. And also, one thing I want to know. So, while I was working in Nepal, we were not focusing much on detail,
Yeah.
design
Mm,
detail. Like, most of the time, even if I'm doing residence or something, then we will just make like a drawing which will go to municipality,
mhm, mm,
AFJ we call it here in the US. authority of jurisdiction, and we just have that drawings generally, and we don't do much more of a detailing. But in the US, we focus more on the
Hmm.
construction documentation, like go into much more detail. But uh, learning from your thoughts, I feel like it's even more detailed there, because like in the US we don't really specify how you put the doorknob,
No, no, no.
because there's
I'm just
kind
saying
of
it's
a
like here also it's not a requirement. It's not authority requirement. They don't
Mhm,
care how do you put the doorknob. Of course,
mhm,
there are some requirements, but
mhm,
it's just an architect, and it's not saying we do in all our projects because we also have it depends on the client. There are
mhm,
clients who wants to make money. They just want to finish the project fast. They just want the bare minimum from us, right? And we can't do much if we have
mhm,
paid bare minimum. We'll just do the bare minimum. But sometimes when we get a client where they want this, like especially a private client, which have they're making their private house. They are not only hiring for architects for the bare minimum. They really want to make a really nice house. There we pretty much decide even the doorknobs, even the furnitures, and we have them even the kitchen thing, even the small parts, small the gutters, the roof, the gutters. How do you do the gutters? How do you the water comes down, and how the all those things. When we have a window, when we have the cornices, and the lintels, and all the things, how do you put those? We design those things also. It's like we like to do this. It's not about decorating, because I have to tell you, the difference. It's not when I say detailing, it's not decorating, right? Because there is a difference between decorating and detailing. And so in Denmark,
mhm,
it's detailing. It's like how do you build it? Because you have to, as an architect, of course, you want to say it's a structural engineer thing. They have to put it. Yes, of course, they will calculate the thing and all the things. But as an architect, also you have to understand how things are built. It's like for example, we have multiple. We when we build a house here, the general way of building houses, you build a core, your structural core, then you insulate with outside, then you have the outer core, right? The for the facade and for the roof and all the things. So how they are built, what kind of thickness they go, all this thing as an architect we have to understand it, right? And then you can, if you need it, you have to go do some designing, then you manipulate it. So a few days ago we are designing a house, a small house. It's a really really small house. It's really 105 square meters, really small house for a client. And there we have two buildings like slope roof, like the pitch roof building, and they are sitting side by side, right? And they when they meet this thing, there is a what do you call this valley? This is the rise and the valley thing, right? So in the valley, when
mhm,
this the two things joined, then how do you think? Because the problem is in Denmark, with the snow falls, right? If the valley is too long, the problem is then you cannot just say, because if it's just was raining, the water will come down. We have a gutter, water come down. But if it's snow and the snow falls come there and
mhm,
it stops there, then it is freeze there. Then the whole it will act as an extra load, and then all those things has to be. Then we start, okay, not only this way we have to slope it, maybe we might have to slope in the other direction. All these small things. It's not it's very project specific, but we have to deny that we was client, we and our structure engineer, we're all sitting there designing only specific for that building and how things are done. We do research and those kind of things I like, those kind of, I think it's very project
mhm,
specific, and there is a problem because I would say designing is a problem solving act, if you define, it's like that's if there is a problem and you try to get a solution, and that's a designing, right? So and there's just all these kinds of create different kinds of a problem, and you comes with a little learn from the old and go and you create a little make your own innovations and come with some different design, and which is fun. I think that I really like here, all right? And I'm saying it's not all the projects
mhm,
like that, of course, because every studio has their, I would say, their the projects they sow, and their projects that gives them money, the bread and butter, So all the projects that gives the bread and butter are not the one they will ever want to show to your client, because because they have just done the bare minimum. You get the money and you just move on, that runs your office. but there are always some projects which comes and we say, okay, yeah, this is something I want to design it. You know, that's I like that I like.
Y- yeah, even nowadays, I'm so much focused, I would say, focused, yeah, because on
Yeah.
doing these details, because like when I was in Nepal and even in architecture
Mm.
school in masters, like we mostly design things, but we don't really focus on
That
how it's
exactly.
actually built. And also, like, and what I felt is like architects, they don't have to
No,
know
no.
everything of how it's designed, but you need to figure out like how you can ask
Exactly,
the right
because
questions
it's,
to
you
get
have
the
to have the
answers.
basic understanding of the thing. For example, when there's a structure, you don't need to know how to calculate the load, but you should know how the load distribution are done. Then otherwise, if
Hmm.
if you design something and suddenly your engineer comes and say, "Oh, you cannot build it," how do you argue that? Okay, no. Why can't we do something like this? Why don't we can take a load from here? We can do something like this. Then you can never be creative, right? Because you shouldn't know all the structural answer, but you should know what to ask where to ask questions, right? When you're talking with this structural engineer,
Yeah.
where we're talking with the clients and all the things you do. So that's what experience is all about. I would say, an experienced architect or some new person, it's like experienced one knows which question to ask, what question to ask. That's whole life he learns what question to ask. You know.
Yeah, I mean, even that's what I'm feeling nowadays, because I was working in this one project and then I was given a task to detail out
Mm.
on the elevators. And then I had zero idea about elevators. Like,
Yeah.
I have
Mm.
never done it before. And then I started talking to
Mm.
people like who have done it before. And then after reaching out to even the
Mm-hmm.
elevator representative and tell them, like, how do you actually
Mm-hmm.
put it together? And then they kind of supply
Mm-hmm.
us with some informations. And then we kind of went back and forth with structural
Mm-hmm.
engineers, like if
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
works or not.
Yeah.
So I felt like, okay, this is how you actually work on
Exactly.
finding out
Exactly.
details, not
No,
exactly
no, no.
like you
Because
have
the
to.
thing is, you
Yeah.
don't, you are not want to give the solution, right? Because there are solution there. It's just that you have to go and find the solution. Just
Hmm.
you just know should know how to go and find the solution. Because nobody is expecting. Because when somebody is asking me to do the job, they are not expecting. I know in my head. It's not that I remember it. No, oh, this is this. No, but I know where to go and ask the questions. What questions should I ask, and how to get the answer. I know how to get the answer. So whole thing is learning is how to get the answer, because there are thousands of hundreds of thousands of questions in the world in architecture, right? You can't know the answer of everything, but you know if somebody asks one of this,
Hmm.
pick up one of the questions and ask you, then I know where to go and look for it. That is what you learn. That is what you learn, right?
Exactly. Yep, yep. I think that is one of the
Yeah.
missing thing, even in the
Mm.
practice in Nepal as well. Like, even I was talking about this in the other
Mm-hmm.
podcast recently. Like, we don't really focus much on providing the construction
No.
documentation, and uh, yeah. So that's I feel like I'm kind of learning a lot
Yeah.
after working here nowadays, and I feel like that's what you learn from
Yeah.
experience, I
And
guess.
I was also thinking, right? Because sometimes I don't have much time sometimes, but I sometimes I think and try to compare what I learned in back in Nepal, and last few years I'm also trying to little work with some of my friends who are right now currently working as an academician in the university in Nepal and all the things. So join hands with them and try to little share my experiences and all the things with the students. Last time when I was in Nepal also, I tried to visit Kathmandu University and all the places and try to interact with the students and share my experience. So, and I'm saying, I'm just trying to think, what is the difference? What is that we are lacking in Nepal, right? So it's not that a lot, but it's because the thing is in Nepal, we work hard. We really work hard, right? We almost work twice what they work here, you know but the thing is that's not making us better. It's not always like working harder makes you better, but the thing is we're working hard but we are not working in the right directions. For example, I was trying to remember what thesis I did uh, in my undergraduate thing, right? When I was doing undergraduate, at that time there was like best thesis would be, or best project will be considered, which is huge. People were doing like airports, stadium, it's like, can you imagine? In 6 months per time, one student is designing a whole airport. One student is designing a whole stadium. I also designed a whole factory. Is a whole factory design. And at that time, I thought, okay, I did a great job. How much can I think about it? I can barely minimum. I can do the basic planning and all the thing. How much can I think? I would rather, because the thing is, I would rather someone design a small, one family house, okay, in for thesis project, one family small house, but think almost every aspect of it, every aspect, all the planning, all the basic constructions. Go and ask the student to go and talk with the engineer. Ask the two other people, find out how people thinks about it. Maybe make a client, like like a pseudo clients and kind of a thing, and experience all socio aspect, economic aspect, the structural aspect, planning, everything. But everything is there, but for a small project. Here in masters, can you believe that here in masters sometimes they design a small house, small residence house for a master
Mhm.
project, and you are allowed to do that. And in our country, we design airports for an undergraduate student as an student. And what can you present as in an airport, like or a stadium? And because and
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. Like we try to do a lot, everything. We try to do, okay. It's a big is if you do big projects and try to do flashy thing and all the things. It's okay, all good. But no, have you even understand what they are doing? You know, because that is the difference. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, mhm. I would like to play a little bit of a devil's
Okay.
advocate on this, but I feel like even
Mm,
doing bigger projects, it's
mm,
fine in some way, because like you have more freedom in thinking about like doing some kind of a form that you
mhm,
want to
mhm,
explore, or go beyond that you are not
mhm,
doing every day. So that's one of the one advantage I see. But I kind of
mhm,
agree with
mhm,
what you say as well, because like after
mhm,
after graduation, I feel like if you want to call yourself an architect, then you should have the other knowledge, like how to manage
mhm,
your consultants and how to
mhm,
present it to client. And then like as an architect, you are not just designing, like you said earlier, like you have to talk with structure people and then like get the idea and make that happen. So I feel like maybe a good maybe in thesis, like you can even get the student from other department and ask them to collaborate, like how to actually
exactly,
build it.
exactly.
So maybe a good thesis can
Because
go
I was
like
thinking,
that as well.
I was listening. If I was like a teacher, right, and I was thinking, let's say, if I have to create the thesis projects and all the things, how would I do? How would, or even any design studio, for example, any design studio. There was
Hmm.
some just a little thought process I used to have, and let's say I have to create a design studio program for undergraduate or graduate students. And let's say in this semester they are designing a residence house, right? Then I would have create a pseudo client for them, so they don't have just design whatever they wanted. They would get a site, or they get a site, and they would also get a client. And if we couldn't manage, then we can exchange it, like, okay, half of the student will work clients for the other half student, and the other will be have clients for the other students, and they will have a conversation, and the client will ask them a brief, okay, I want this, and middle of the project the client is asked to change half of their project. All right. Then
Hmm.
how do they will incorporate with that? Okay.
Ha.
Suddenly half of the work you have designed it, and
Yeah.
suddenly, oh no, I don't want this one. I don't want only now. I want the extra two rooms, or I don't want this facing or what, blah blah. Then how do you change this thing? How do you learn that? How do you learn that in school? Because that is exactly what will happen when you in the real world,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really,
Yeah,
really good idea. I mean, if any education
yeah.
practitioners is listening right
No,
now,
I was
please
really
do
thinking. I
it.
was really thinking. We try to create the real life scenario. It's like in the middle of the thing, we'll ask the other two.
Mhm.
It's not like totally project change it, but make things a little difficult so that how do they cope? How do they try to convince it? Okay, no, this is not. Or if it's not, then how do they cooperate the design changes? Right? Because design changes happen in the last minute. Sometimes you don't know. It's like two days before your meeting, and the client say, no, no, no. And blah, blah. How do you manage that? Like that is those are the things,
Yeah.
those practical things, right? I was thinking this is one example I was giving, but all those
Mhm.
practical things. And also for example, we have this they can go to and talk to real they have a meeting with real civil engineer, or even the students of structural engineers, and they can collaborate, so they can even have a combined thesis, and also the structural they and doing
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
they also they because they also have to do thesis, they also have to do this, so they combine and structurally one structural engineer, the one architect, they combine and present one project, and they both present the same projects, right? And they talk and they share their
Mhm.
ideas and all the things. That is learning, right? Here I think that happens a little
Yeah.
more. I'm not saying that everything happens here, but here they only care about the learning. They don't care about how you learn. At the end of the year, you have the project or not. They don't care about that much. The care is like, did you learn or not? That's more important. And those are some ideas I had. Like,
Mhm.
but let's see. Maybe we'll try one day.
Yeah, even I was thinking about it. Like, I do like to take some design studio
Yeah,
if
I'd love
I
to.
get a
I'd love
chance
to.
at some point in my life. Yeah, and I would love to do that, but I feel like my focus would be more on the um, like a little bit of a realistic side, like not just creating a design
Mm-hmm.
which is super fancy, but moreover like even creating a project schedule, like how you
Yeah,
do it in a real world. And even for a design studio, create a project schedule and just
exactly.
work at that time, and then
Exactly.
try to
Exactly.
finish it with
Yeah,
that
and another thing is like,
schedule.
since we're talking about this school thing, and my
Hmm.
my thing is like, a lot of thing design when you study when they design it, a lot of students are designing thing. They design the thing. Sometimes they end up creating something nice. Something they don't end up creating something nice. But when they're starting, they don't know what they are doing. So before they are starting design, we'll write them asking, "What are you trying to design?" Right? So in words, okay, I'm trying to
Hmm.
design this in words. It doesn't have to be very poetic or anything, but just in plain words, I'm trying to, what are, at the end of this design session, what are you trying to achieve, right? In words, and you are not allowed to change that. That's your goal. And the thing is, at the end of the day, then you'll check it if you get that goal or not, right? Your design got that what we are interested.
Hmm.
Because the thing is, sometimes if you just do put things and other things, sometimes you just come out. What do people do is like, they see and feel that, okay, something nice come out and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. But this was not what you are trying to do. It end up being something nice, but it's not what you're trying to do. But that's not how you learn, because the thing is, what you started, what you wanted with, and then how much you achieved it. You could get only 50% of what I wanted. I achieved it. Fair enough, but at least you know what I wanted and what I got it, right? That's also another thing I think I should do, because
Hmm.
a lot of people, they don't know, because I have a lot of students and all the things they say when they sit there to design, want to design, they don't know where to start with. Well, I don't know. They cannot draw just the first line and what to start with. So it's like setting up in words. It's like, okay, this one, and then because the thing is, a lot of times design comes quite early. Sometimes you have to work really hard on it. But the thing is, you could, I always say, I'll use a metaphor, right? Let me see if I can explain this thing. So somebody asks you, "Can I get an apple?" I said, "I want to. Can you give me some apple?" And the other guy said, "Oh no, I don't have apple, but can I give you orange? This is an orange." And I said, "No, no, no, but you don't understand." I said, "Apple," and I said, But why do you need apple? This is the best orange. Because if the client is asking you apple and you are getting the best orange in the world, it might be the best orange in the world, right? But does that, and it might be even more valuable than the apple he's asking for. But does it work? Because what if the client is trying to make an apple custard? No matter if you are giving the best orange in the world, and you might say, if you don't know the what the client demand is, and just look at the orange, you might say, "Okay, this is the best thing. This is the best thing had happened." But is that orange at that point the best thing? Because for the client is trying to make an apple custard. You understand what I'm saying? For him, no matter how best
Mhm.
orange is that is, he cannot make an apple custard with an orange. So for me, that orange is not the best design or best reason what the seller can offer, because it doesn't fulfill the client's demand, because you can have an okay architecture that fulfills the demand rather than have a great architecture that doesn't fulfill the demand. For me, that is I take it as an architecture, right? Because if the client's demand is a
Mhm.
dresser, I want to have a really mediocre, simple, basic, simple house, simple planning, and the architect. Okay, I'm an architect, so I'll give you really fancy, and it might be really fancy, great thing. But what if the client is not asking for that? Then is it a good architecture? For me,
Mhm.
it's not a good architecture, no matter how good is it. So that's why you have to understand what you are starting to at the start, what you're trying to get it, right? You might get up something really nice, but
Mhm.
something really nice was not what you are starting to get. Then that's not the point. So because don't worry about the
Mhm.
destination, where you still how do you go to the path? That's more important for me, if you ask me. Well, these are the small things I think I would love to teach a student, if I ever get a chance.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you never know.
I'd love
You
to.
might get
I'd
a
love to.
chance as well. Yeah, after listening to some this podcast, maybe someone will reach out to you. You never know. But anyways, so it was a very lovely conversation. I would love to talk
Yes,
to
I'm
you
here.
more, but I think we're gonna stop it here because we have a
Yes.
crunch time.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for your time, and it was absolutely amazing conversation with you. And I hope people are listening and then like learning from this experience, and then like I don't know, I'm just doing it
Yeah,
because it's fun for me.
yeah,
And what do you
I'm
think
just
about this?
really, really grateful and happy that you invited me. And I don't know how you found it, if you got all your connections and found about me, because normally what I do is like I live a little secluded life. I don't come to this social media and all the things that much. But I'm glad that you found me, and then I'm really, really glad I could come here and share with you. It was really nice, and hope we could do something similar or something uh, some kind of things in future and have some future collaboration. I'm really glad. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I would love to. Yeah, I don't know if I will ever
Yeah,
visit
it will be
Denmark,
really
but
nice.
let's see.
You should come.
I mean, there's yeah, let's see. Even I stopped using
Yeah,
social media now because I deleted everything. I just have
yeah,
it in my laptop now because I felt like I was getting
yeah.
so
Me
much
too.
addicted
Yeah,
using
I think
reels and
it's sometimes it's
everything.
taking so much time, and I was like, it's yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I think like even I'm extending a little bit on the
yeah, no
end
problem.
note, but still. So I feel like we as an architect, we try to get inspired from
Mm.
other people's work so many times, but sometimes like we don't think within like just maybe like doing some sketchings when you are bored, then that actually is kind of a good idea rather than scrolling through Pinterest and then like trying to find some fancy idea. I'm not saying like that's a bad idea, but I feel like it kind of doesn't open up the space
Yeah,
in my mind. So that's what I
okay,
started
yeah,
feeling.
absolutely, absolutely.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna delete it everything and I will just use it on my laptop so that I can
Yeah.
post it on the YouTube.
I haven't
That's
deleted,
it.
but I think maybe I also should do that. But I don't post much. I just sometimes go a little check it. But yeah, I barely
Mhm.
post things. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's why. I mean, even it was kind of hard to find your work initially. That's why
Yeah,
I asked for your portfolio. So, anyone interested, I will attach his portfolio in the description below, and you can go and look after his work. And then, if anyone wants to
yeah.
go to Denmark,
You can
maybe he's
contact
the
and I
guy
can
to
show you
reach out.
some beautiful architecture.
Yep, yep. All right. With this note, we're gonna end this today. And thank you so much. Bye bye. See you on the next episode. Bye bye.